person.
That's
Tim.
right. Yeah, we all look different on camera. Hey, Keith, how are you?
Yeah, and no, I'm not getting. No, they're not sending me the applications, but that's okay.
Okay, yeah.
Did he talk to Darla?
Oh.
Did you talk to Darla, our secretary?
I'm sure he has talked to
Your
Darla.
secretary here?
Or
Or
no, at West Freeway,
Phoenix.
and my wife
At
Brittany
Phoenix.
has talked
At
to you as
Phoenix?
well.
Good afternoon, this is our 2 o'clock Friday afternoon session. I say Friday afternoon, I think I call it Orr Day, being most of the speakers are Orr family. They must be related to the Orr family to get a time
No,
slot.
I guess so.
Our speaker this afternoon is Tim Yeager. Tim is the Chief Information Officer for World Bible School. Six children usually run around. They didn't bring the family this time. I haven't seen them.
No, I was flying in and flying out, so.
Okay, good deal. And his subject today is how to use social media for your congregation. Tim, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. Yes, good to be here. So, using social media, that's the title. There's also, raise your hand in here if you went to the earlier sessions about advertising your congregations, okay. There will be some probably similar things that I cover there because that's what happens in our world with digital technology is a lot of things overlap. I even thought that was my title I was given was how to advertise your congregation. So I'm going to adapt a little bit here on the fly. Maybe as a preacher, you know that, right? But that whole idea of social media communicating, advertising, and of course, even thinking about, we'll go back to what my title slide was, is advertising your congregation. And we know that it's not about us. It's not about, let's try to get people in here to this nice wood floors that we have in our hallways, or red carpet, or our nice ficus plants that we have up here, and let them awe at our building. No, it's about the message. We're trying to get this message of Jesus, this message of hope out to the world. And so we will be talking about social media. We are going to be talking about some advertising, but probably a little bit different perspective, hopefully, than maybe what John Orr had covered earlier today. You know, and why is that essential? We talk about social media, we talk about digital tools, and it's essential because this is where our world is right now. And we've got 5.6 billion people that are on phone subscriptions. We have 5.3 billion that are using the internet, and 5 billion, just over 5 billion, that are using social media user identities. And that is way over half of the world's population. So, you know, you put all these together, and yeah, people are on their phones, they're using the internet, and they have social media. So there are a few people that might have a phone subscription, but no social media, and so there's some crossover there. But this is a huge opportunity. But we're not here to talk about the billions and billions and billions. We're here to talk about how you can reach this one that's in our community. So that's what this conference is about, it's evangelism, it's outreach, it's growing our congregations, and it's looking at this digital space as a mission field. So I have this picture here with this little map icon, and just to illustrate that, we can talk about that. Isn't it wonderful how we can reach these thousands of people? We get 20,000 people a month now registering at World Bible School. There's almost as many, 10 to 20,000 registering at World English Institute. That's great. But what about the mission field that's right here in our community, but also that digital community, that social community that exists? So as we go through this, we're going to be looking at these statements of into all the world. So we all know Matthew 28, the Great Commission, so we're not going to go over that. It's not going to be a lesson on the Great Commission, but each one of these is going to start with into all the world. And of course, it extends to those abroad and to those in our community, both in person and digital. So when we think about community outreach, there are two worlds really that you're going to meet. I appreciate my grandfather-in-law, Earl Edwards. Some of you might know him, and he talked about a lot of the door knocking that he would do. And even up until a few years ago, he was still door knocking. You know, he didn't have a social media account, anything like that. But he was door knocking, and he was reaching those people that would not have been reached through social media. And vice versa, we're reaching people sometimes through social media he would not have been able to reach. And so he found a way to reach people, and that's what we want to do, is finding those ways to get the saving message of Jesus to as many people as possible. In my former years in my corporate world, we would talk about certain statistics with the different clients that we work with, Blue Cross Blue Shield plans, different large companies, and we'd use some of these stats. Of course, this was true then, and it's only grown more, is that over 50% of internet traffic is on a mobile device. We think back on that slide we saw, it's pretty easy to believe that there's over 5 billion people that have a phone subscription and have some access to the internet. And in places where it's really expensive, now we take it for granted that we've got these constant LTE connections and these constant unlimited data plans. Some places in the world, they don't, it's very expensive, but companies like Meta, Facebook, / also bought WhatsApp, they provide free plans where people who have these phones can text, message, they can send videos, they can send photos, and it doesn't cost them any extra money. So there's more of this activity that's only going to grow as time continues to go on. So we know we're dealing with a world that really operates on their phones. I mean, I was on the airplane and I couldn't get my computer to connect to the Americans' Wi-Fi. I never can, but I got my phone on it and I was doing everything on my phone I was planning to do on my computer. So it's accessibility that's helpful. Of course, also with this, social media and how our kids and even ourselves, and this is as a learned behavior, is our attention spans are affected by this. We've got so much bombarding us from different news outlets, from different notifications that are happening on my phone. I'm thankfully you can't see my unread messages number here. That's over 5,000 between all my email accounts I have. Yeah, I see that. Yeah, you're nodding your head. That's it. Admit if you have over. Who here has over 1,000 unread messages? Yeah. Okay. So
Look
we'll
at
have
the
a
subject, and that's enough.
we'll have a therapy session later on that. So currently, those attention spans, especially people who are used to that, it's about 8 seconds. That's less than a goldfish. And so when you think about that, and that's where people are operating, that's how, when you're thinking of how am I going to reach somebody in social media, how am I going to reach somebody with advertising, how are we going to reach this digital space, you have to do things in a way that catches their attention like that. Now, yes, you can't have a Bible study and convert somebody in 8 seconds, but you hook them. You get them interested in something. And that's the key, is finding what they're interested in and meeting a need or answering a question. That's what we're going to be looking at in terms of this use of social and digital media. So why is this effective advertising essential? We talk about it, but why ultimately is it essential? And I covered this with a lot of the congregations that we set up websites for at Ichthus Digital. And for a website and for advertising, it's essentially the same thing. That is the point, that the body of Christ connects with a digital culture. It is through the things, how you interact on Facebook, how you interact on Instagram. So even if it's not your quote unquote church secretary doing it from the church account, it's all of us as the body of Christ. It's us interacting, and that's the point at which it connects with that digital culture and the truth that they can be provided. They use it for search. We're going to be looking at some things here in just a minute, but when people go out there, they are asking questions. I mean, it is all the way from, hey, who did you use to fix your pipes? And how do you deal with this? My wife is on homeschool groups where they say, well, what are y'all doing with this? And how do you address that problem? And my kid's doing that, So people go out there to just ask questions. And of course, sometimes you're like, why would you go out there and put that question? It's like, that needs to be maybe one-on-one with somebody and not just out there for everybody to see. But that's when you think about advertising, when you think about using social media, finding that relevant information that meets that person's need. So it does take some thinking, it takes some research. It just like any evangelism effort, it's a process by which we need to figure out how to reach that culture. And it's no different than what Paul did or what Peter did. Every Sabbath when they went to a new place, they went to the synagogues and reasoned based on the scriptures. After that was done and they had to shake the dust off their feet with the Jews, Then they'd go on to the Gentiles. And of course, Paul, when he was there at the Areopagus, he didn't start with the law and Moses and things like that. He started with, oh, you've got that temple, you've got that altar to an unknown God. Let me tell you who that unknown God is, and use their poets to talk about it. So you want to be relevant to what they're looking for, relevant for that particular need, that particular question. So here's the different channels. That's what we call in advertising and social media. We call it channels. These are different ways that you can touch your community. And of course, the first one is obvious, a website. Okay, you have to have a website. There are a lot of congregations that don't have websites, and they think we don't need one. We have a Facebook page. Yes, you do need one. You need a good one that can be found. And I've come across several congregations that say, yeah, we have a site. You search for their name directly in Google, and you don't even see them. You can't even find them when you find, I'm going to go with I'm going to throw them under the bus, the Lawson Road Church of Christ, Jonesboro, Arkansas, except for the website we take care of now. Their other one that they had free could not be found at all, but a website is important. Of course, we're talking about here social media. We're going to talk about some specific things we can do with social media to specifically and more proactively reach our community. Another thing we're going to kind of touch on here, and don't panic, we are not going to go into the details of how to set up Google Ads. We're not going to go into the detail of how you set up a social media account, but I'm going to simply kind of show you some of the tools that are available. And this is what I encourage everybody to do. It's like riding a bike. Anybody in here today can go create a Google Ads account. Anybody here can create a Facebook advertising account. Well, how are you going to use it? How are you going to work with it? Well, sometimes you just have to kind of like jump in and do the tutorials or follow their steps and learn as you go. And so that's the idea. It's like riding a bike. You're never going to be perfect the first time, but you'll get better as you learn how to use it. And these companies, they want you investing. So they're going to make sure you do it the best way that makes you get the best results. So Google, Meta, they all have these things set up so that way you do get the most out of it, and you want to continue, giving them money to advertise. And it's okay. Big Brother, there's a lot of sometimes bad rap about, especially recently in the news, Google with Gemini and what they've done, and what Meta is doing with, and all, just these big, powerful companies. There's not a lot that average people like you and me can do. We can choose not to use them, but the blessing, just like God provided the Roman roads, and through Alexander the Great, the Greek language that was prolific through the known world at the time, we can just latch on and use these technologies, and a little bit Big Brother tracking for the sake of the gospel. Why not? It's there. Let's use it for the gospel. Of course, we're going to talk about direct mail, and that's not necessarily digital, but I'll show you some things related to that. And of course, QR codes, which I haven't seen any here lately in the building, but I imagine there are some QR codes floating around the building some way. So these are 6 that we're going to cover very briefly here. And as I'm going through this and you start having some questions, feel free to interrupt me, I suppose, or at the end, I'll make sure and leave a few minutes where if you want to ask some questions, you'll be able to do that. So a church website, you want to be into all the world by showing the love of Christ, by showing the loving family of God. Now, everybody close your eyes for a minute. Picture, if you can, going to your church website's homepage. The first thing you put in when you put in whatever.org, .com, .net, what do you see? Raise your hand and share. What is on that homepage right now, if you've been to it? Maybe some of y'all haven't been to your church website in a while. What do y'all see?
Pictures.
Pictures of?
The church family.
Okay, so you're at Louisville, that's right. I haven't looked at y'all's website recently. Y'all might do it right. How many do you know if I say, okay, now, do you see the building? Okay, yeah, now the west side, they've got it right there in Round Rock. But yes, a lot of times when you go to a church website, it is the building. I had one of my longtime clients just recently moved on to this nice big marketing firm, and they thought they paid all this money to get a nice new website, And I went to it yesterday, and guess what? It's like this drone shot going over their building, and I see their roof. I'm like, what? You know? And of course, that's what we see here. Of course, this back here, this is the Landmark Church of Christ. They sent me some video. We spliced it together, found like the best shots. This is what I call the big Texas handshake greeting, where he's coming in and they grasp their hands and people are hugging, children are waving, you know, all sorts of stuff. So we show that loving family because that's what our world is looking for. They're looking for a place to belong. They're looking for a cause to be involved in. I mean, that's why we have so much unrest right now, and it's sad about all of this Free Palestine and all these demonstrations, and a lot of the youth that get wrapped up in this. It's because they're looking for something to be involved in, to be more than themselves. And of course, that they're going to be taken care of and have loving people around them. So a lot of these movements, the LGBTQ, have latched on to, sadly, very Christ-like principles of love, but it's just done in the wrong way. And we've got to change that image. So yes, are we showing the love of Christ or just a building? And so a lot of church websites, yeah, that's the first thing you'll see is this nice 60s, 70s architecture. I do think there is a place for the building on the website, but you get to the directions page and it's for that landmark view of it, or further down the page. But right here, this is the Lakeside Church of Christ in Florida. Sent me some video that we put together. This was a still that we snapped of this brother and sister in Christ, a little bit, you know, two skin colors here going black and white, just hugging, showing that family. And so as part of the video, you see them even kind of coming together and hugging as they greet each other on a Sunday morning in that lobby. So showing the love of Christ is so important to the website. Mobile friendly, we talked about over 50% of traffic is on this. And making sure that when they come to your site, it's easy to see, it loads quick. And by the way, Google now wants it to be that way. Otherwise, they start penalizing you and you might get removed from the results if they don't think you're doing things in a mobile-friendly way. The example there, you know, a lot of us websites you used to go to it, yeah, it'd be like, here's your web page, and you have to kind of pinch and zoom and scroll back and forth. Well, that was the first website I did for Buford back before these standards came in place. And then about 5 years later, we redid this, and that's been about 6 or 7 years since we redid it. But you can see the difference there of a mobile-friendly site and a not mobile-friendly site. So that's what we want those to be. So here are, usually when we're working with churches, this is the 7 elements of an effective church website. Not going through all of these in great detail right now. But yeah, but this is a good list for you to look at, that if you're working with whoever takes care of your website, just start thinking about these questions, thinking about these principles and these elements, you know. A clear call to action and simple navigation, hours and directions. I go to several church websites and I'm scrolling for 5 minutes and I can't find, when do you meet? Where do you meet? And it's over on some obscure link at the bottom or there. Compelling visuals. You know, I was traveling through Charlotte, North Carolina, and we were there on actually Easter Sunday. And we were thinking about visiting one congregation, but when we saw they had made choices about women leadership and instrumental music, I said, well, let's just join in the car on the way home. But I found another, looked like, hey, this looks like might be a Sound Lord's Church. But the website, the building looked like, it was a building and it looked like a cult bunker lodge. Okay, that's all I had. There were no people on it. There was no windows. Anybody know like the Elks Lodge? Is that the buildings that have no windows? I was like, this looks like an Elks Lodge. So I didn't feel I had my kids with me. I didn't feel comfortable taking my family to visit because I didn't see the people. I didn't see much about what that congregation was about. And so here I could have been a potential visitor, smaller congregation. We might have doubled their size with my, you know, 6 children, 8 people, but I didn't feel comfortable because I couldn't really find anything else about it. So when you talk about reaching, if that's coming from a member of a church, imagine somebody who's had no experience with the church, that first impression, you want it to be warm, welcoming, they know exactly where to do, how to contact, maybe they want to contact you before they walk in. That's what we call a CTA, it's called a call to action. And so on the websites we encourage having a Bible study link, easy contact form, easy access to the email address or phone number for a minister, and make sure it's easy there. Of course, consistent updates. You know, it's okay if you don't have sermons, if you don't have blog posts on your website, it's okay. You know, it can stay static. But if you put a sermon section out there and the last sermon was from 5 years ago, okay, you got a problem. Because people will look at that and be like, this congregation must not be meeting anymore. This congregation might be dead, or they're just not active. So out-of-date information, whether it is on your website or even on social media. And so having a social media account is good, but as soon as you start posting, be ready to post at least on a weekly basis. Otherwise it gets stale, stagnant, and people will think you're out of date. And then of course, search engine friendly, making sure it shows up good in Google. All right, so here's some examples. Recently at Ichthus Digital, we partner with Home Mission. So if you're familiar with their ministry, which I assume you might be being at this conference, you know, they help congregations get on their feet, get more evangelistic, and start growing. Well, some of them, you know, they can't afford a typical website. So we come in, we've partnered with Home Mission, that those congregations working with them can then contact us, and we give them some deep discounts on a really nice, high-quality website. And a lot of times they might not have sermons, and that's okay, but we just make sure we are following those principles, those elements that we just covered. So this right here was the Avenue T Church of Christ, just over here in Temple. There we go. Anybody? Yeah, you know where it is, Temple. We also just and they actually chose one of our options to actually add sermons and all sorts of stuff. So we've now got them all trained, and he knows how to upload sermons, he knows how to change the content, but we're right there with him to help him every step of the way if he has a question or needs us to do something for him. Y'all familiar with the Bedford Church of Christ, right up here in Bedford? I mean, didn't you say it was one of the oldest churches of Christ in the country or in Texas?
I think they said in Texas.
In Texas,
I'm not-
okay. Yeah, 1800, so we're talking old congregation here, but they had never had a website. They had a domain name, but it had expired, so they may have had one at one time, but essentially one of the oldest congregations in this area did not even have a website. So we set them up, and so now, as you scroll down the page, we have other pictures of them standing in their lobby, standing at the front of their auditorium, but just nice, simple picture of members of the church smiling, waving at the camera. So it doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars for a videographer or a photographer. Simple shots on a nice iPhone or Android will do the trick. But now they have this nice website, lots of space, so people can say, oh, that's when you meet. Here's where I go. Here's how I contact you. As you scroll down, the map is right there on the home page. And so that would be a good impression for somebody searching in that area. Now on to social media, specifically, into all the world by listening and having a conversation with your community. Specifically, I put this picture of Be Kind, because what usually happens in social media conversations if it's a contentious topic?
Quite the opposite.
Yeah, they aren't kind, okay? Even some members of my congregation at River Chase in Birmingham, I said, oh, come on people, no. No, that's not how we reach people. Okay, we don't need to raise up our, I'm sorry, I'm gonna dip my toes into this. We don't need to raise up our God Bless America Bible with the Constitution in it. We need to raise up Jesus. We need to raise up his values of kindness, of being able to have a conversation with people who do not believe. You know, I had a wonderful conversation on an airplane with an atheist. He had a good family life, loved his family, but he just didn't believe in God. But we had a wonderful conversation a few months ago. But we approached it with, what do you believe? What do you think? And then he asked me, what do you believe? And I told him, and he said, you really believe that? That there's this Jesus that came down? You really believe it? I said, absolutely. And let me tell you why. So I planted a seed with him, and we went our different ways. But the idea is to be kind, be listening, and start conversations. And of course, these are the different social media platforms. I mean, if you took a picture of every single one out there, I mean, there's hundreds of different platforms. And so I finally found one that actually had X, thanks to our neighbor Elon here, who decided to take away our Tweety bird. So he does a lot of cool stuff. I love Starlink. We're doing some awesome stuff in Starlink, World Bible School in Africa. We're doing really neat things there, but man, why did he have to go mess with that? I don't know. Okay, so lots of different platforms, but essentially what I started off saying is learn it, figure out how to use them, or get with your kids or grandkids. Hey, what are you using? I started hiring some younger people out of Freed at World Bible School, and I said, hey, George, do you use Facebook? He said, Facebook's for old people. Of course, at the time I was like 39, 40, and I'm like, really? It was my first wake up to like, and then now it's like Instagram for other ones that are younger than him. Are like, no, we don't use Instagram. We use this over here. It's Snapchat. It's this. It's that. So all these different generations are coming up more rapidly, evolving into what they're using. Now my daughter's been begging me to do real life or something like that, where you're supposed to just, she wanted me to look at it, and I'm like, I'm not ready for that yet, no. Can I monitor it? Can I connect Bark to it? If I can't do that, then it's usually a no. So there's a lot of options out there, but essentially, the principle of social media, and we think about our community, is just be aware. Have our eyes up. Be looking for those needs. Community needs, people who are suffering. I mentioned before, you just be jaw-dropping what people put in social media. And so they can be expressing things there that they would not have ever expressed to you in a conversation or a stranger, but you learn about it through social media. Of course, that then leads to service opportunities where you can go do things in person or have fundraisers. But then ultimately, as we have these conversations, we show the love of Christ by being kind. Ultimately, what that can do is open a heart for a Bible study. Because now sometimes, when we're advertising for a Bible study at World Bible School, we find people who are searching. I'm looking for an online Bible study. But somebody dealing with loss, somebody dealing with tragedy, losing their home in a tornado, or their car gets plummeled by hail like it's happening today, that's not what's on their mind in the moment. But what they do remember is the kindness that's shown to them, the help that's given them. That's why I really love ministries like Churches of Christ Disaster Relief, Disaster Recovery. There's one more, but there's all these disaster organizations within the church that help with those needs, but can open hearts for a Bible study. So that should ultimately be our goal. Now, as we look at social media, there's really neat things we can do with it here. So if you're posting or your church is posting, you can create these ads. And so there's different options there. Again, they have all these kind of things to help you lead you through it. But they have automated, artificial intelligence-based advertising. They'll just kind of pull your stuff and say, hey, we're going to create this for you. You can have a post and you can do what's called boosting it to your community. And I'll show you here in a minute how you can target it. Of course, Meta owns Facebook and Instagram, so you can boost a post on Instagram. My wife and more of her circle of friends are more Instagram watchers of all the stories and the reels and everything that they're doing with that. She does watch Facebook, but not like she does. She does Facebook differently than she does Instagram. So there's different ways people are using it in different needs, but you can create ads, and yes, you're gonna pay some money, but we talked about before, this is a mission field. We spend thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars for foreign missions or even domestic missions where we're going to do different things. Why not also invest in the digital missional field right here in our backyard? And for example here, I went to our Methodist, I went to one of our Methodist posts and I actually put in there, okay, I'm gonna target Waxahachie, around 25 miles, ages 18 to 65. So there's all these different demographics, people who like your page, people who like your page, and people similar to them. So again, all this big brother technology we're talking about, these lookalikes, these profiles, all this stuff. Literally, you could go out and create an ad today and start playing with all this technology right now. And so you can see, okay, every day, so estimated daily results is that I will reach, which means people will see, anywhere from 966 to 2,800 people could see my ads every day. And over the course of 7 days, I'm gonna spend $42. Man, what mission trip can you go on and spend $42 and get in front of that many people? Again, does everybody click? No. Does everybody respond? No. Are we gonna have 2,000 baptisms from this? No. But you're gonna be in front of somebody finding where they are, what they're looking for, what they're interested in, that otherwise we wouldn't have known. I mean, it's kind of like when, Paul and Peter, they would do that. The apostles did that. They would go to the places and heal somebody in the temple and create a commotion and a stir. They would do things in places that would draw attention to themselves. They didn't have they couldn't look through search history at that time and say, oh, how many people and where did they search and who searched for? Why did the sun go dark for 6 hours that day, last month, why did the sun go dark? Or why was there this earthquake that was just random? And why did all these dead people rise up? So if they had Google back then, people of the time would have been like, whoa, my uncle Sam just rose from the dead. Why did he do that? Okay. And so, but that's kind of illustrating you're doing what the apostles did at that time. We're just using the technology of the day to do it. Find where they are, find what they're interested in, meet that need, and be there with the love of Jesus. So Google Ads is another thing here, is be into all the world by reaching those searching in their moment of need or asking a question. One of my favorite conversion stories at World Bible School is this lady that was in the hospital, and she was having massive kidney problems, health problems, in and out of the hospital for weeks. And she was just in her hospital room. Her name is going to come to me eventually. I can see her face. I can see the picture of the minister who baptized her. But she just started wondering, why is all this happening to me? And so she started looking for the Bible. She started looking for how to study the Bible. And of course, right there near Bronx, New York, she found World Bible School, got connected, studied, was baptized with one of the local ministers. And so we hear that all the time, that people are looking. That's why you kind of put this picture. I mean, you never know who's on the other end searching for a question. But the idea with Google Ads, and again, it's so easy. It's so easy, right, Josh? Yeah. So I do a lot of different advertising for different companies and churches too, and show them, and they're impressed. I'm going to show you some results here in a second. But be found with Google Ads. So yes, we can do everything we can to be found when somebody searches for our church name, and we get a good, what's called a local business listing. If you search for a business name and you get that side result with the picture, with their business hours and their phone number, that's called a local business listing. And so what we make sure when every church we work with is we claim it so we can update pictures, update the information, and Google loves it because then they know, hey, this is a legit place. We're going to give them a little bit more weight in search. But that's great if they're looking for you specifically. But with Google Ads, again, it's an ability to reach people with questions. Now, this is a graph. Might not mean a whole lot to everybody. It starts over there on that side and March 1st and ends over here. This was one of my first congregations last month that said, yeah, let's run Google Ads. I've been encouraging churches to do this for years. Hey, you have got people in your community searching for things that we don't even, until you start kind of like getting your toes into this, you don't even know what they're searching for. So what we did is we started running some search ads, and you can see over the course of a month and a half almost, they had 21,000 impressions, which means their ad, their text ad, if you search in Google at the top, it'll say sponsored or ads or something like that. They were seen 21,000 times. Now, did that all lead to a click? No, we had 328 clicks, but that's 328 clicks they wouldn't have had otherwise, because we were just trying to, and I told, this is the Central Paducah Church of Christ in Paducah, Kentucky. Yes. So, but we learned some things that were really interesting, and we could see right there, I tried to zoom it up as big as I could. This is one result where we had a click and we had an impression. That's that number right there. So like on this one here, we had 26 impressions, 1 click. That's somebody sees it, but not everybody clicks on it. Well, they searched problems with Church of Christ doctrine. This was somebody within just that Paducah city area that the congregation would be able to actually meet with or have a Bible study with. So they clicked on it, and wow, that is amazing that somebody searched that in the area, and they did click on it. Now, I don't know what they ended up doing afterwards, but what we learned from this is we start learning the behavior in these local areas. So right here, some more examples. This one here searched, I trust in God. Now, they ended up not clicking, but they saw it. I want to go to church. Right here, they had 3 impressions with that search right there. What's neat about Central Paducah is they have a ride ministry. So anybody who needs a ride to the building, as long as, hey, try to call us at least 2 hours before service, please. It's on their homepage, front and center. We made sure to do that, where it's like people scrolling down, hey, what about, oh, they offer a ride? I don't, but anyway, I wanna go to church. Wow, that is an opportunity to reach somebody there. Down here, even Independent Fundamental Baptist near me. What if you had, like, we're gonna talk about landing pages, a landing page that talked about the Baptist church versus other denominations? What if we have something that people searching for these terms? I gave Noah and the other minister there 90 pages of these results. And I said, the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna advertise our VBS. We're gonna kick up some search ads for VBS. But I said, y'all take that list. You look through it and see if you could write some content and we can create a page that we could run more ads targeted at these questions, and they would click on it, read whatever you've written them, and that might be a chance for a Bible study. Is it guaranteed? No. But again, that's what we go back to, is meeting people in their need, meeting people where they are, and they're telling us exactly what they're looking for in Google. That's why in World Bible School we target online Bible study. We don't target people looking for this, that, you know, they might even say, I want to read the Bible online. Well, we don't really have an online reading app, so we kind of weed those out. But somebody who's really looking for a Bible study and they have those questions in their life. I mentioned a landing page here. This is what I've done for our congregation. This is not our church website. It has some of our church information here, but it just starts off by saying, let's talk about Jesus. And so then a little button, begin now, which takes them to World Bible School. And this could be any, let's say we go back there, they were asking the problems with church doctrine. The website could literally pull up, if they click that ad, so what's wrong with Church of Christ doctrine? It could say, hey, do you think that there's something wrong with the Church of Christ doctrine? Let's talk about the doctrine of the Bible. Or however you can literally tailor that page and that ad to exactly what they're searching. And you never know, you'll engage them, you'll hook them, they might read more and then they'll contact, they might not. But we provide a relevant answer or thought-provoking content to the question asked. That's the whole point of creating landing pages. And the principle is the same. I work with insurance, Medicare, other health insurance companies. The principle is the same, whether it's an insurance company, whether it's World Bible School, or a local congregation. Find out what they're looking for, give them some information for what they're looking for, and draw them in to that conversation. Direct mail, I mentioned that this is not necessarily digital, but it can have digital touch points. Who here is familiar with House to House? Got a few hands here, if you're not. So you can contact them and they will do direct mailing of their publication, and you can even do special things. You can do something that's entirely your own, but they have these mailing lists, they have the printers, they have all this stuff where you could do targeted direct mailing to your community around. Somebody moves into the area, new movers packets. You could do that. So you can put all of your church information here. They have a spot a couple pages in where you can put an ad. Most churches, if they don't have an ad there, they'll put like a Bible poster. They do have a generic World Bible School ad that they pop in there. So this is going out to millions of households with that information. But in your case, your church information would be right here. And of course, into all the world is also every mailbox in your community. So again, it's a touch point. Will everybody respond? If you send 1,000, do you get 1,000 baptisms? No, that's not how the parable of the sower worked. There's a lot of seed that falls everywhere, but you don't stop casting that seed in every way, in every channel that we can. So QR codes. Anybody know what a QR code is? Okay, nodding head. It's okay, shake your hand. No, if you don't, that's okay. When we were doing QR codes first in Africa with on our booklets, because we have the apps and stuff like that, they're like, what's a QR code? I'm like, I see it everywhere. What do y'all talk about? Oh, we call it scan codes. So we had a little terminology thing. So on our stuff we print over there, we actually put scan here or scan code. We don't use the word QR code. But here, that's what stuck over the last 10 to 15 years. It's devolved to QR code. So go into all the world by reaching anyone you talk to anywhere. Now, the example I put here is some of the newer bookmark things that we have at World Bible School, where you can hand it to somebody, they snap it, they download the app, and then they're having a Bible study. I mean, I've seen churches do it on their cards, on their flyers. I've seen people have their own ministries. They have the QR codes, thought-provoking questions on there. Do you want to go to heaven? What do you want to know what the Bible says? So just ways that you prick that thought-provoking, but you just hand it to somebody. Now, if you're like me, I do have some business cards, but I generally don't walk around with a whole lot of cards or these bookmarks because, you're just around daily life. It's just not practical. Let me have 100 of those in my pocket just in case. Is that my 5-minute warning? Wow, thank you. All right, so y'all are special. Okay, this is why you're special. You are the first ones outside of our engineering team at World Bible School to see this feature. So if you have the World Bible School app, and if you don't, you would have heard lots of presentations yesterday how to get the app and get signed up to be a study helper. But the app, now it's not launched yet, so you're getting the test view of this. You go to the More button down on the bottom, and right there's a QR code. Okay, you're talking to somebody in the checkout line. You're talking to your waitress at the table, or waiter, or server, sorry. You're just having a conversation. It's not practical. Oh, yeah, let me find these cards. I mean, most of us, here's my phone. Flip it out, get to your app real quick, show them that QR code, they snap it. They instantly, once they register through that, become your student. They don't go to your congregations board, they don't go to a student board and have to wait. They instantly come right in to become your student. And so that's what we're going to be encouraging a lot of these events we go to with the youth events is like, hey, you want to start a Bible study with your friend? Pull out your phone, have them snap it. And if they don't have the app, it downloads it. If they download it, our engineers that we've got now, or these young engineers at World Bible School are brilliant. They remember the information, so it carries it over into the app. And so it makes it a really easy way for anybody to start a Bible study anywhere with your phone. Now, I have talked about a lot, and you might be thinking, I think a lot of our congregations are blessed to have somebody who knows how to do websites, social media. Maybe you don't have time to sit there and learn it yourself. Well, and so get with those at your congregation. We've talked about a lot of stuff. Is talk about it. Have we looked at the website? Look at your own website. If you don't know who does it, ask one of the elders. If they don't know, ask secretary. If she doesn't know, well, then you got some problems. Well, if nobody knows, call me, okay? All right. But sometimes you need that help. And so I've got 20 plus years of experience with digital marketing, analytics, and advertising, websites. So you can contact us, and we do that. We do church websites, we do stuff for Home Mission, we do small church websites, large church websites. We've got Dan Winkler, we've got his site, we're doing some marketing for him. And so we've also, and a lot of the small businesses we work with are members of the church that we work with small businesses as well. So that is our website, that's my email address, my phone number. I do have some cards. And right here, Aaron Curtis, he's the one in the bottom right. He lives in Searcy, Arkansas. So he's our, on our business card, you'll notice it says digital missionary. That's what we see ourselves as, is digital missionaries. And so he lives in Searcy, Arkansas. The young lady right there on the right, the family photo, that's Avery Fair. She's a member of the church, West Metro in Hiram, Georgia. She recently joined us as our web designer because that's not Aaron's gift. I can do it, but I get a lot of stuff going on and I can't sometimes figure it out, but she's got that talent, and so she's able to really put together some good designs when we need to do more custom things. So got a team here, that's what we're here for. We're here to lean on each other, work on each other's strengths, help in our weaknesses, and of course make sure, and our tagline here, this is the Great Commission in a digital world. And that's what it's about. It's about sharing the good news of Jesus, looking for those opportunities, and then being there to respond when people have that moment of need, that question they ask. So I promised a few minutes to be able to answer questions, and so I'll go ahead and stop now and open it up for any questions that you might have. I do have business cards if you do want to talk to us about helping in any way, or maybe I've just given you enough information to really ask some hard-hitting questions back to those that do your outreach and media stuff at your congregation. Oh, come on, Josh, give me one. You just dying for questions.
Where's your QR code?
Huh?
Where's your QR code?
I don't have one up here, do I? I should have put one up there, yeah. Wouldn't that be good? Thank you for calling me out on that. Yes, Jim, you had your hand up.
Does it matter, or the feedback you've gotten on a church website, if they use the picture of, the actors and actresses, that look nothing like their church members, or it seem to be more effective if they use real pictures of them?
That's hard to measure, because you'd have to actually get with somebody looking at the website just fresh like that. Most of the congregations are, I'm technically done, so so you can skedaddle if you want. But yeah, most of the churches would say, hey, we give them advice. Try to take pictures this way. Try to do video this way. If you can, great. If you can't, are you okay if we use some of the stock stuff? And I say, yeah, just use the stock stuff for now. So, it is better to have something that's more more people than it is to just have a building. But yeah, the feedback from churches has been, oh yeah, that's great. Oh yeah, that looks good. And so we change up the videos for each site to be sometimes a little bit different. And then one day, yes, they might get us some video. And that's what we tell them too, is take the video, just go around and take it. I'll give you some pointers, you might go take some more. But don't worry about it. We'll splice it together. If you go to that Landmark Church of Christ again, they sent me, I think, 45 minutes of video, and I ended up getting about 25, 30 seconds of good shots from it. We went through all of it, because it's like, oh, you're about to do something, it doesn't work out. Or you're about to do something, ooh, that's a bad angle. Okay, not gonna do that. Or that's too far off, it's not focused on that kind of interaction that we're looking for. So yeah, out of 45 minutes, I got about 25 seconds of really good people greeting each other and being a very warm, welcoming atmosphere for the site. Any other questions? Okay, well, it is 2:46, so it wasn't me that went over, it was his question.